Hi everyone, welcome to the Panic Room. It's Wednesday. We're on the countdown for the finish of Panic Room. After this week, because of social distancing laws and lockdown laws being relaxed, we're moving from the Panic Room into the kitchen. And this will take on a different format as we cook meals. Dave will cook haggis. I'll cook something extraordinary for 9 or 10 people. We might even be able to do that. But today we're going to look at a continuation of yesterday. Yesterday we looked at Ricky Gervais and Russell Brand in an interview about the existence or otherwise of God. And yesterday we looked at Russell Brand and his big, deep questions about meaning and beauty and life and his insistence that there must be a God. And today we're going to look at Ricky Gervais, who's a well-known atheist and done lots of TV stuff. My favorite was the show where the original Office show, but we're going to look at something that he deals with about the non-existence of God from his TV series Afterlife. But before we go to that, Dave, how are you today?
I'm great. You will notice that since you mentioned haggis, I have my Scotland rugby shirt on. I've just noticed also that when I came to Australia, the Australian Rugby Organisation, Federation seemed to be the very epitome of what is dysfunctional. But anyway, I thought I'd wear my shirt, and you're right about the haggis. I have to go out and shoot one first. But I'm good. I'm looking forward to moving into the kitchen, and I'm looking forward to discussing with you this morning Ricky Gervais, who is a fascinating person. Do you want to hear my Gervais story? My personal interaction with him.
Tell me your you've got a personal interaction with Ricky Gervais. Wow.
Yes.
I've touched
I know. How cool am I?
Go on.
I was in a debate on Twitter, which you should never be, right? And it was about abortion, and I tweeted out something, and I went off to a wedding, and my phone was going bing, 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 bing. You know, as I put it off, and when I got back, there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of messages. I almost had to delete my Twitter account because I tweeted out something that Ricky Gervais somehow, I have no idea, got hold of, and he he retweeted it. So I've been retweeted by Ricky Gervais. What it was, by the way, was this guy was saying, oh, the baby in the womb is just an egg. And I said, yeah, right. If that's true, you go into your nearest cafe and ask for scrambled fetus on toast. So Gervais loved that. But, you know, I'll tell you this, he's got, I think it's 8 million followers on Twitter. So never, ever, you don't want to be retweeted by Ricky Gervais.
No, I can imagine I don't.
Anyway, that's my Gervais story. Let's discuss what he says.
Well, have a look at this clip and tell me what you think, because this is him responding to Russell Brand from yesterday, and it's pretty pithy, but have a look.
Couple of points. I do think there's people crave a oneness, even if we don't know about understanding about why we're here, because again, that's very human. We're inquisitive. We want to know why. We want the answer why, and some people don't accept. Well, we don't know yet, but we're on the way. They got no. Well, that's no. You know, the God of the gaps. We understand that. Well, if you don't know how to explain it, God did it. Okay, it doesn't really solve anything. Even down to the, I put a joke in Afterlife where Kath's bothering me, and she says, where did it all come from? Somewhere from nothing. And I go, well, where did it all come from then? She go, God made it. I go, okay, where did God come from? She went, he's always been around. I go, simple as that, isn't it?
So, David, what did you think of his erudite response?
Okay, here's my problem with Gervais. Whereas with Brand, there's intelligence and thoughtfulness, and he makes you think. Gervais makes me want to stand up and punch the screen. Yeah. because, and it's purely simply this, he seems a nice enough guy, but his arguments are so juvenile for someone who professes to be an intellectual, who's treated as an intellectual. So, for example, they're right. I love the discussion about narcissism, and I think that's a huge issue, and we need to come back to it. I did love that. But when he does the God of the gaps thing, who made God then? I'm sorry. When a 5-year-old says, who made God? I'll say to them, listen, sweetheart, God isn't made. But when someone like Gervais or Richard Dawkins makes, I think, do you never listen? We don't argue for a made God, for a created God. By definition, God is uncreated.
Well, that's the issue,
Yeah, that is the issues. And so it's at that level that Gervais really disappoints me, because his arguments, I mean, if you or I were in a debate with him and he argued at that level, he wouldn't get very far. And we're not particularly smart. Sorry.
No, you're
I'm
not, but
smart.
yeah, that's right.
You're a genius. Sorry. Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. When you watch Gervais on the Golden Globes or whatever it was, where he just shreds everyone, it's brilliant. And he's got a high level sophistication. But even in Afterlife, his series where he's living in a small English village, his wife has died and he's miserable. And he presents these sermonettes where stupid people give arguments or reasons for God, and he sort of shreds them. And it's kind of a bit cheap. But that whole idea of who made God is a category error, isn't it? It's a bit like where C.S. Lewis was saying that, you could no more expect Hamlet to go into the tower of his castle and find Shakespeare writing Hamlet than that's the same level of thinking. It's a category error.
Well, who made God logically falls apart anyway, because it presupposes that everything that exists has to have been made, and you end up ad infinitum an eternity of things being made. Whereas the Christian argument, and generally the monotheistic argument, is just simply that everything that began to exist has been made.
Yeah.
Something that's eternal hasn't. And your option is you either have an eternal God or you have eternal matter. There's one other one that I thought was fascinating, and that was when he said there are 400 trillion to 1 chance that we're here. We're not special, but we're just lucky. And I'm thinking, man, you talk about God of the gaps. This is like a philosophy of the gaps, or even science of the gaps, except it's not science. The example for that for me is, imagine if a policeman came round to my house and said, David, how come you've managed to have the Mona Lisa in your living room? You're basically a thief. I say, no, you're not going to believe this. There's a 400 trillion to 1 chance, but it just happened to be here. 400 trillion to 1. You can't say it's completely impossible, but it was, and you just think, nah, come on. And that's what I want to do with Gervais. Go, yeah, sure. We're just lucky. That's where you put your faith.
Yeah, and there's a sense in which he wants to put a brave stance on that this is, the noble individual against 13 billion years before me, 75 years of living and 13 billion years afterwards. And it doesn't quite pan out that way, because I think one of the questions he can't get away from the big question of what's the meaning and purpose of life. And that's going to nag at him. And obviously he's saying that's because you're sophisticated in a certain way and you've thought a certain way. But I do find that some of those the way he argues things is stuck at the 10 or 11-year-old age stage. It hasn't progressed to thinking sophisticatedly in a sophisticated way about it.
Yeah, and that's my issue is it's so unintellectual. So what he's doing is he's stuck with the 10-year-old. Well, who made God then? As though there were no answer to that, and the ancient Greeks hadn't thought about it, and numerous others hadn't thought about it, nor has he thought through the consequences of his own philosophy. He's stuck at we're just very lucky, aren't we? That's all. That's the only way I can explain it. I'm just lucky. And then he's stuck just by saying, as a matter of faith rather than fact, well, we don't get to replay. We don't get, when something happens, it's happened. And the Bible's answer to that, well, there is a judgment day, and we do have to give account for what we do. And there is justice, and there is good, and there is all these different things. And Gervais is saying, nah, just suck it up, suckers.
Yeah. And in one sense, why should you get angry about injustice? Because it's 13 billion years before you, 75 years now, and 13 billion later. It's a blip on the landscape. But we do worry about injustice. We don't want to see things that are wrong.
So here's the wonderful paradox. In seeking to refute Christianity, Gervais actually points towards Christ, in my view. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you there. Do you want to say anything else before... That's our penultimate one. We've only got one tomorrow. What shirt will I wear tomorrow? Will I come in
an England shirt?
No, come on. I'd sooner dance naked. No.
Wear a shirt. That would be good, Dave.
I wear a shirt. No, I think I'll come in my Sydney Bondi costume.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to come in my metal foil hat to stop the COVID-19 app from drones from being able to detect where I'm going or something, having fun or something.
Listen, it's the chip that's been implanted in your head.
Yeah,
you've forgotten about that.
Yeah,
that made your hair fall out. All right, guys. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.